You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
What's going on, U.S. Cellular customers? I've got good news, so don't hit skip, at least not yet. I'm talking about their special customer event, Us Days. What is Us Days? It means exclusive offers just for their customers, just to say thanks, like $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. No, I didn't just misread that. They must really like you. Us Days at U.S. Cellular, exclusive offers just for you, just to say thank you. Right now, U.S. Cellular customers get $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. Terms apply.
Before history is written, it's played. Before it's frozen in time, it's fought one shift at a time. Before it's etched in silver, it's carved in ice. What happens next will last forever. The Stanley Cup Final on ABC and ESPN Plus begins Saturday.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome into College Football Total Access Live. Here to talk a little college ball today. Can you hear Nitschke over here still? I've got a pup over here been eating grass this morning. He's hacking. So if you guys hear an awkward noise in the background, you know what's going on, right? I'm not running a frat house over here or anything. All right, guys, going up in the floor. It's my pup. So anyway. We're off to a roaring start, like Tim said. Literally the second we hit 8 a.m., you hear this? The second we hit 8 a.m., ready to go live, Tim's mouse goes dead. My dog starts hacking. We're like, oh, great. Yeah, we're ready to roll. So,
like my computer mouse, I don't have a pet mouse. It's not Ratatouille or anything over here.
Ratatouille kicking the bucket. I love it.
Yeah, this guy's gone. That's all.
So obviously you may hear an awkward noise in the background throughout the entire show. If so, maybe we'll hear one good hack and it's over, right? Let's hope it happens that way. But obviously here to talk a little college ball. This is a new podcast that we added to the network here recently, and I've been getting a lot of good feedback on it. We're usually doing anywhere from 1 to 2 shows a week. And when we get into the college season, we'll see if we can ramp that up just a touch. But it's important to kind of keep your finger on the pulse in college football. And it's something that I'm probably about a 70% NFL fan, 30% college fan is kind of how I lean, Tim. And the reason being is because with college football, man, it is important to kind of understand the prospects that are coming up in the game. Now, it used to be totally the opposite. I was just a huge college football fan, and then obviously started following the Packers. And like I said, it grabbed me by the soul and just could not put it down. So, with that being said, with college, it's just something that's going to, ramp up as the season gets a little closer. And we'll try to keep it Packer-centric, but at the same time, we got a lot of fans reached out that are fans of programs, big college football fans. So as you can see here, the stadium we got in the background today, Tim, there's some beautiful stadiums across the country, man. This is the Washington Huskies Stadium with the lake in the background. Just what an awesome tailgate experience that's got to be, man.
Man, that looks dope. Really does. I mean, that's the one thing that's so cool about college football, I think, is just the traditions and the different things that the different schools and programs do that last for generations and generations. I mean, you're talking some of these, well over 100 years, rich history in college football. But yeah, of course, the tailgating is probably unmatched. I mean, there's nothing like a Lambeau Field tailgate now, but I'll tell you, I've seen some college stadiums. It's pretty wild out there on game day. So that looks awesome though. University of Washington, man, that's a beautiful venue.
Yeah, and that's really how the Packers have been described to me before I became a Packer fan. Is like it's got a college stadium or a college town type vibe, right? Yeah. And obviously at the time that I became a Packers fan, I was living in Knoxville, Tennessee, so they've got one of the the best tailgate scenes in the entire country with the University of Tennessee Volunteers. So it was cool to go to Lambeau the first time. Like, I get it now, man. I see what they're saying. It's a whole different approach. But nonetheless, let's talk a little college football here. And again, I apologize for the background noise. Hopefully he settles down. My little guy, he's approaching 10 years old. So he's getting up there. Was that 70 years in doggy years, Tim?
Yeah, it's too old to be doing cake stands there at the party there. I don't know what he was.
I love the fact that it's Nitschke too. It literally on his papers, his name is Raymond Nitschke Bailey is his name. So yeah, he's a wildcat. He runs the show here. He's about 14 pounds of pissed off pup all the time, man. He keeps the shepherds in check. He can literally show his teeth to Lincoln, who's about 122 pounds now. He shows his teeth to Lincoln, and Lincoln just walks away. He's like, I don't want none of that smoke.
I don't want none of that.
But let's kick it off with this, man. Let's talk about let me see if I can get this kind of adjusted here. Let's see if we could talk about football program value. And again, this isn't the tell-all. You guys know I'm big on the market. If someone says, this football team is worth this much, or this property has this value attached to it, for me, it's only worth what someone's willing to pay for it, right? And the new EA Sports college football game that's about to drop, I don't know if you've kept up with this at all, Tim, but video game industry obviously is just, it's huge. And one of if not the most popular sports video games in history was the college football game. And the last time they made it, if I'm understanding correctly, was back in 2014. So it's starting to drop now, coming out, I think, in July. So this is the first time they've made a game in about a decade. And you talking about a buzz around this thing. Well, obviously it takes a lot with the restructuring of college football and the value that's attached to not just the players with NIL, but also the universities. To think of a company having to get together all of these entities that probably don't agree on two different things, two of the same things, and get them to agree to be in this video game, I can only imagine the task that was at hand. Now, when you look at what they paid for these programs, to me, this shows you kind of a true value, whether it's popularity, a little bit of success attached to, I'm sure. But this is the amount of money that EA Sports had to pay, to the best of my understanding, to get these college football programs to agree to be represented in the game. And this is really interesting. So Fox College Football's Twitter handle tweeted out breaking down the tiers and their payouts in EA Sports College Football 25. The tiers are based on each team's finish in the final AP poll over the last 10 seasons. So he kind of took the success over the last 10 seasons and he kind of grouped them up and said, okay, here's who we think are the most valuable, essentially, right? So tier 1 is Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, Oklahoma State, which was really interesting, Utah Utes, Georgia Bulldogs, LSU, Michigan, Oregon, Notre Dame, Penn State, Oklahoma, and Iowa. So Iowa made the tier 1 cut, which was really interesting. In tier 1, the dollar amount that was attached was $99,875.16. I'm not sure about the 16 cents, but hey, whatever floats your boat there, had to throw that in there. But that's tier 1 as far as these college football programs. Pretty interesting stuff, because if you look at it, you would think, okay, popularity, success, just overall value in the college football program. I imagine this is pretty close, and obviously tier 2, you see, Tim, it goes from being what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or is that roughly 12 programs in the top tier? And then all of a sudden, actually it might be 13 programs. And all of a sudden it jumps to a bunch when you get to tier 2. But what do you think about tier 1 there, man? Pretty cool seeing Notre Dame there. I know that seems to be the team. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's kind of the team you're pulling for the most too, right?
Both of my teams, yeah. I would say probably Notre Dame and Georgia are the teams that I'm going to kind of vicariously follow here as I attempt to become a college football fan this year. So hopefully nobody beats me up in the parking lot or anything for having loyalty to more than one team.
No.
But no, that's cool. And you can see as you go down the tiers, it gets a little crowded there at tier 4. But how does that work? So that's a one-time payout to the university basically on behalf of the game?
That's the way I understand it. Yeah. So, and with the players, there was a set amount for anyone who wanted to be in the game. Now that they did kind of set a cutoff because the college rosters are so loaded. There's so many people on the college roster. I want to say, I shouldn't even mention this. I don't know why, but the number 85 sticks out in my mind. There was 85 players on each roster, but I think what they ended up signing was like over 12,000 prospects or players to the game, and they all had like a set NIL amount. It was something like $500 and a free copy of the game. Now, some of the bigger name players, maybe they got paid more. I don't know all the inner workings, but yeah, that's the way I understand it. A one-time payout of that $99,875. Now, when you go to Tier 2, I know we get a lot of Wisconsin Badger fans in here. I'm going to mention some of the notable teams that are in Tier 2. You got USC, you got Florida State, Texas. Those are big programs. Wisconsin Badgers. I'm assuming this is in order because it doesn't look like alphabetical order. So this might have been, the rankings within the tiers as well. Like Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson were the top three. Well, in Tier 2, the top four, Wisconsin lands in the fourth spot, it looks like. A couple other teams there. Utah, obviously. You got Tennessee Vols. They're in that Tier 2 category. Ole Miss, University of Kentucky Wildcats. That kind of surprised me with the football program. I thought they'd probably be in the Tier 3.
Yeah.
And
more
just
of a basketball school, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we'll see if that changes. I don't think it will, although you guys know I'm not a big basketball fan, but we'll see what Mark Pope does coming into the program. Everybody that I associate with are huge Kentucky basketball fans. They're like, Clayton, you want to go to the game? I have no desire to go to a basketball game. I'm sorry. Unless you could put me in a time machine and take me back to the 90s when they were really playing basketball, I have no interest in it. But so that was Tier 2. That price tag is $59,925. And then you got Tier 3 drops down to $39,950. And then Tier 4, a whopping $9,987. So just interesting to see where those programs kind of sit in the tier rankings of payout. Like I said, with the new EA Sports College Football 25 game, it just it's very rare that you see a value attached to a football program. And I just thought, from a business standpoint, it's kind of cool to see that from a distance. So I think, overall, as far, like I said, with success over the last 10 years in the AP polls is the biggest deciding factor there and how they did that. So anything else you want to add to that before we move on, man?
I mean, I think the gamers are definitely excited for this.
They're fired up, man.
I mean, and I'm not as big of a gamer as I used to be in my younger days. But I would have been super excited for this. It's been a while. 2014, the last time they had a game. That's crazy. And if you're a college fan, I mean, Madden football is great for the NFL game, but I mean, the college guys, they didn't have anything for the longest. So now you're going to have that option. And it's like with the transfer portal and everything going on, it's like, you're going to have to update your rosters probably every 5 minutes.
Right.
Every time you fire up the game, you better, download the latest roster update because you never know.
They did a good job with it, it sounds like, and how they structured everything. And obviously the cool thing about having the rights to the players now is they can update that throughout the season.
Right.
And in the past, the community kind of put that together. And again, I haven't played a college football game, like I said, since the 2014 game. We'll probably pick it up. I had a couple people reach out and said you should stream on the channel with. I'm trying not to convolute the channel with a whole bunch of random stuff. I want it to be mainly Packer centric and all that. I had somebody reach out and said, hey, you should do a Madden franchise with the Packers on the channel. That might be cool from a simulation standpoint. Like each week, hey, here's the game. Let's put a simulation up. Let the CPU play each other and see how the Packers did in that game. I'm just not sure we would be happy with the outcome, and everybody would rage if the Packers ended up, with a 2-win record.
We got to create our own players, though. I'll be a kicker, and Jacob can play linebacker. We'll put a little squad together, man.
Get the beard out there at long snapper. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we need. What would Emilio be? Emilio be
probably a safety, I would think, right? Or
wide receiver, right?
Yeah, or a receiver. Yep.
I'd be holding the clipboard. They call me Clipboard Clay over there. I'd be on the sideline, man. This bad back. You kidding me? But anyway, let's move on to some college football Hall of Fame talk. Obviously, they have their own Hall of Fame, and I don't know a whole lot about the College Football Hall of Fame, so I was just doing a little research earlier. It's kind of cool to see how everything works. They said on average 4 to 8 guys get voted in every year. So it sounds like there's not a set number. I guess it just depends on the amount of votes, a percentage, that type of thing. But Fox College Football tweeted this out, said all the FBS coaches, remember guys, FBS, for you old heads like me, that's Division 1. FCS is Division 2. So FBS, there's 134 teams, to the best of my knowledge, that are kind of competing for that national championship. But it says all the FBS coaches and players making their debut on the College Football Hall of Fame ballot this year. So this is their debut on this. All right. So again, 2025 College Football Hall of Fame ballot, FBS player and coach first timers. You've
Big
got
names there, Clayton.
Yeah, we'll just go down the line here. Oregon, Kenjon Barner. He played from 2009 to 2012. Alex Brown played with the Florida Gators from 98 to 2001. George Coombe played for Oklahoma from 76 to 79. Going back a bit there, that was kind of cool. Aaron Donald.
There's a guy.
First ballot Hall of Famer in the NFL. There's no doubt about that. Aaron Donald obviously dominated, got him a Super Bowl ring there with the LA Rams. He played in Pitt from 2010 to 2013. He's up. Alan Faneca from LSU. He played from 95 to 97. You guys remember he played offensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got LeVar Fisher from NC State from 98 to 2001 he played. Gaston Green from UCLA. He played from 1984 to 1987. Big John Henderson from the University of Tennessee. He played from 1999 to 2001. You guys may remember the video of him getting fired up. I think it was when he was with Jacksonville. If I remember correctly, he may have played for Tennessee too, but I think he was in Jacksonville. John Henderson, when the guy was punting, he told him to slap him. You remember that? They were in a tunnel, and that little trainer slapped the hell out of him. I was like, boy, if he changes his mind here, this trainer is gone. He's done. But Big John Henderson played with the Vols from 99 to 2001. Then you've got Mark Ingram. Obviously, he won a Heisman down there with Alabama. He played with Bama from 2008 to 2010. Great running back. Deshaun Jackson. You guys heard that name. Played for Philly for a long time. Yeah, wide receiver out of Cal from 05 to 07. Alex Mack from Cal. Talk about a great program they had. My goodness. 2005 to 2008. Then you got Wayne Martin from Arkansas. He played from 1985 to 1988. Terrence Metcalf played for Ole Miss in 97 and then 99 through 2001. Not sure if he got suspended or what happened there, but definitely missing a year. Jim Pine from Virginia Tech played there from 90 to 93. Steve Slayton, wide receiver, spent some time in the NFL, played at West Virginia from 05 to 07. Sean Taylor, the great Sean Taylor from Miami, one of the hardest hitting defensive backs to ever play the game of football. He played for Miami from 2001 to 2003. Obviously, tragically lost his life in a home invasion years ago. Manti Te'o from Notre Dame, 2009 to 2012. You guys remember he was a Heisman finalist his last year there at Notre Dame. And then you got two coaches. The great Nick Saban, who obviously spent time at Alabama, Toledo, Michigan State, and LSU. He was in college football off and on. He was out of college football for just a year or two when he went to Miami with the Dolphins. But he coached from 1990 to 2023. And then, of course, you got Urban Meyer, who coached at 4 different schools. I know he coached at Utah, Florida, Ohio State. I can't tell what the other one is, but he was a coach from 2001 to 2018. Obviously had a cup of coffee with the Jaguars, and that got absolutely burnt to the ground. But, Tim, it's kind of a long list there. Sorry to be long-winded, but when you look at these names here, if only 4 to 8 are getting in, first of all, I just want to say this, spoiler alert, Urban Meyer and Nick Saban, they're slam dunks.
They're automatic, yeah.
They're going to be in.
So,
now, I'm not really familiar with how the College Football Hall of Fame voting works, but you see some of these names that had great NFL careers. You think, oh yeah, that would be the one. That's one. But it comes down to how well they played at college football. I just have a hard time believing that these voters don't look at the NFL career too, right? Because obviously it's much harder to succeed at the NFL level. What do you think about this list here, man? If you had to, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to put the chat on the spot too. If you had to pick 2, you could only pick 2 out of this list outside of Nick Saban and Urban Meyer. Who would it be, man?
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
I can't wait to see him on College Game Day this year, man. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the background enough to know a lot of these names, but yeah, I guess I would go with the familiar ones, right? Mark Ingram comes to mind right away. Not just because of the NFL career, but, like you said, was a top tier player with Bama during his days. So I would say Mark Ingram, and then I'd probably say Sean Taylor would probably be my first two off, other than, like you said, taking Urban Meyer and Nick Saban out of there, because they're pretty much shoo-ins there.
Yeah. Sean Taylor, Chris Nichols in the chat says Sean Taylor. Sean Taylor's one that if you go back and watch that highlight reel from that Miami team, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure all three of these players played together. I think they had Ed Reed, Sean Taylor. I want to say that Ray Lewis was there too. Maybe Ray left the year before Sean Taylor actually came in. But if you guys haven't seen it, there's a stigma around Sean Taylor, like he's just this bad person, this thug, this, whatever. Go watch, and you can find it on YouTube for free. Go watch A Football Life Sean Taylor. And I'm telling you, man, it'll tear you up. It's what an amazing story, because he wasn't perfect. He wasn't a perfect human being. But man, he finally got his life right. And then because he helped some guys out and let them clean his pool deck, they were a rough bunch from Fort Myers, Florida. They ended up coming back around and trying to rob him. He was home, and he was in the bedroom with his wife and his baby, which, by the way, his not his wife, it was his fiance at the time. I know I'm going to screw her name up. I think it was Jackie Garcia was her name. There's an actor that was in The Godfather 3.
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. In the hobby, it's not easy of being a fan of ripping packs or repacks. We always hype ourselves up thinking we're going to get some kind of a mint signed Jordan Love card or something. But with zero transparency on available cards and hit rates, it's all just a shot in the dark. That is until now. Introducing slab packs from arenaclub.com, the only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards, and clear hit rates for each one. Now when I buy slab packs on Arena Club, I finally feel like I know what I'm getting. I don't know if you saw the video me and my son did. That was us on arenaclub.com looking for new cards for my kid. Still on our YouTube channel. You should check it out. They have an incredible website. Slab packs are way better than mystery packs. Immediately after your pulls, they put your cards safe in a vault. So whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club's got the card collection platform that you have to check out. Right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase by going to arenaclub.com/packdaddy. That is a crazy offer. 10% off a $400 slab pack. That's $40 right there. Anyways, that's arenaclub.com/packdaddy for 10% off your first purchase. What's going on, U.S. Cellular customers? I've got good news, so don't hit skip, at least not yet. I'm talking about their special customer event, Us Days. What is Us Days? It means exclusive offers just for their customers, just to say thanks, like $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. No, I didn't just misread that. They must really like you. Us Days at U.S. Cellular, exclusive offers just for you, just to say thank you. Right now, U.S. Cellular customers get $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet. Terms apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
A younger guy, that I believe is her uncle, but she was a great soccer player, college soccer player. So their daughter is going to be one hell of an athlete. She's probably grown now. I don't know. But, man, you talking about Sean Taylor and his athletic ability, and then you talk about his fiance, his obviously the mother of his child, her being a collegiate, soccer player. You talk about good genes, man. That little girl I'm sure she's in some kind of athletic. Now, he had a younger brother, too, that many people were talking about was going to be good. His dad raised him very similar to how he raised Sean Taylor. You need to go watch that. A Football Life Sean Taylor, an amazing story. So let's see what the chat says here. Mountain Man Pack says Aaron Donald, Sean Taylor. I cannot argue with that, but I can't. What's up, number one Packer fans? Good to see you in here, buddy. Let's see. Coach Lynn says Sean Taylor and Deshaun Jackson. I can't argue with that either. And again, they say on average 4 to 8 is the number I was seeing online. So I said 2 to make it tough on Tim and to try to make me think, okay, who would be my top 2? For me, it would probably be, and again, I can't ignore the NFL career. I just can't. I would have to put Aaron Donald at the top of the list, and then it would probably be Sean Taylor. That would be my 2. Alan Faneca's tough too, because Alan Faneca, he might be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And what's crazy is Mark Ingram, there's going to be more than 2 outside of Nick Saban and Urban Meyer. There's just going to be. So if I had to guess, I'd say you'll probably get at least 6 in if that's the case. And it would be Aaron Donald, Alan Faneca, Mark Ingram, maybe Sean Taylor, and then, of course, Nick Saban and Urban Meyer would be the 6 I would imagine would get in. But that's a heck of a list of players there, Tim, for sure. So
yeah, especially, and then, even going back, you're going back multiple eras too, the 70s into the 80s, there's guys, and it's like, wow, this is the first time they're making a ballot list, so maybe, this is not a knock on the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Maybe it is a little, but maybe it's a little more difficult to get into the College Football Hall of Fame than it is to get into Canton. Let's be honest. There's the last few years, there have been some inductees that kind of made you scratch your head there in Canton when you look at the list of guys that aren't in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. So maybe that's what's going on here. I respect that. It's a little bit more prestigious when it's more difficult to get in to the Hall of Fame. So
yeah, no doubt, man. And again, you're talking about, like you said, over 100 years of playing, and now they're up to 134 FBS schools. When I was really, really big into college football, there was only 119. Mm-hmm. So it just keeps expanding. You're talking about a whole bunch of players that are on that waiting list there in college football for sure. So interesting to kind of look at the Hall of Fame and how that's going to lay out. So the other big thing is the playoff system, right? And we got actual dates attached to the playoff format here. And this was released here recently by Fox College Football. And basically the college football playoff is going to be broken down into a first round, then a quarterfinals, semifinals, and then the championship game. Okay. So to kind of recap here with the format, 12 teams will be selected to the playoff field. The 4 highest ranked conference champions will be seeded 1 through 4, and each will receive a first round bye. So if you look at this format here, obviously those 4 conference champions are the highest ranking conference champions are going to get that first round bye. So they're not going to have to play till the quarterfinals. Okay. So you're going to have the other 8 teams competing in the other games here in the first round. So it's going to be Friday, December the 20th. There'll be a game, and then there'll be 3 on Saturday, December 21st, as far as the first round games. And to the best of my knowledge, Tim, all of these playoff games, with the exception of the national championship, I believe are going to be played on campus with the higher seed, kind of like home field advantage.
Okay. Yeah.
For the first round. I'm pretty sure it is for the quarterfinals too, but if you guys want to double check me and hit me up there in the chat, I would appreciate it. So yeah, you're going to get a lot of cold weather football at this playoff. So I'm loving it, man. I'm telling you, Michigan in December and January, if they were to be in the playoffs, or Ohio State or Notre Dame or Wisconsin, if Wisconsin can somehow, some way fight their way into the top 12 there and host a playoff game in January in Madison. Come on, dude.
Yeah. See, that's cool. I like that. I like that they're setting it up this way. I do. I think it's cool. It is kind of similar to it's about as close as they can get to the NCAA basketball tournament style. Yeah. You basically got a first round here that are the equivalent of play-in games for the bottom tier guys, and those squads can move on to go to the quarterfinals and play against your top tier opponents. And then, of course you've got to give these guys games on campus. That's what college football is all about, right? I don't think we want to see a bunch of neutral site games. So I think that's cool that you get to, like you said, you're going to play for a chance to host some postseason football on your own campus. I think teams are going to be fired up for that for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. So the quarterfinals will be essentially the Elite Eight, I guess you could say, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
Tuesday, December 31st, then Wednesday, January 1st. So you've got New Year's Eve. You're going to have a game. It's going to be the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, and then Wednesday, January 1st, New Year's Day, you're going to have the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and the All-State Sugar Bowl. And that's why I'm not sure exactly where those are going to be played, because we know the Rose Bowl is actually played, in California. And All-State Sugar Bowl for the longest time was like New Orleans, if I remember correctly. So maybe that's where you get into actually playing at specific stadiums. But the way I understood it, other than the national championship, I thought were going to be played as home field advantage on campus. So nonetheless, like I said, you'll have some New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So that tradition of having bowl games on New Year's Day, there's still going to be bowl games attached. It's going to be on playoff format. And to go back to your comment, Tim, about this, compared to the NCAA tournament, I like this better than the college basketball tournament, because there's so many teams that get into the tourney, right? The fact that there's only 12 out of 134 to get into this, man, I'm hearing the number 3 for some of these big programs. You can't lose more than 3 games. I think it's going to be tough to get into the top 12 if you lose 2 games, depending on how some of this stuff lays out. But then the national, or the semifinals there, the Final Four, if you will be Thursday, January 9th. It'll be the Capital One Orange Bowl and then the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. And then, of course, the national championship will be played January 20th. So we're going to have college football stretching all the way into and I think there's going to be like 10 days in between, if I understood correctly, kind of looking at the way these lay out. So they're trying to give them a little bit of extra rest in between each round, which is cool. And I love the fact, too, that we're going to have college football playoffs on a Tuesday night, man. Let's go, dude. That's what's up right there. So obviously the NFL will still be dominating there on the weekends. So,
but that's smart how they did this, too, because you're not really going to run up against too much of the NFL action, right. So you're going to have a little bit of that separation, and then you go for national championship Monday the 20th, and then you still got a few weeks before Super Bowl Sunday, so it makes a lot of sense, I think.
Definitely. So I know many people are going, okay, Clayton, you mentioned that the 12 teams will be selected to the playoff field. The 4 highest ranked conference champions will be seeded 1 through 4, and each will receive a first round bye. So let's talk about the conferences real quick. Some people are going, I don't even know who's in the conferences now. Well, we're not going to – if you go back and listen to the previous episode, we kind of broke down the new conference alignment. We're not going to go too in-depth there. But let's talk about some of the favorites for each of these conferences, okay? So with the SEC, this was according to the SEC Network. They did a poll via ESPN FPI. So it wasn't a poll. It's probably some kind of artificial intelligence that determined this. This is the best chance to win the SEC. The Georgia Bulldogs at 32.8%, the Texas Longhorns at 24.2%, the Alabama Crimson Tide at 14.4%, and the Missouri, what is it? I don't even know what Missouri is. At the Tigers,
I think.
Yeah, Missouri Tigers at 5.9%, and then the University of Tennessee Volunteers at 5.5%. So according to the SEC Network and their intelligence here, Georgia, Texas, and Bama seem to be the 3 teams to really watch coming out of the SEC. Obviously, they show Carson Beck there, Heisman hopeful out of Georgia. You see Quinn Ewers, another Heisman candidate out of Texas, and then one of my favorite players in all of college football, Jalen Milroe from Alabama, is obviously another guy that's probably going to be in the Heisman running as well. Dual threat, but has a cannon for an arm. Love watching that dude play football. So SEC, Tim, that's what it's looking like. Georgia, Texas, Bama, Missouri, Tennessee are the top 5 teams to watch for, representing the SEC as one of those first-round buys.
More than likely, one of these teams is going to be your national champion.
Right. Exactly. Now, another conference we've got is the ACC. It says best chances to win the ACC. This was from the ACC Network. It says via ESPN FPI. And it says Florida State, 26.2%, Clemson 19.3%. That kind of surprised me because Clemson's been a little bit down here lately. Louisville 12%, Miami 9.9%, and SMU 9.0%. So FSU, Florida State University, you've got Clemson, and you've got Louisville seem to be the top three there, with the ACC potentially representing them with that first round bye. What do you think about that, Tim?
Florida State at the top. That's pretty normal, right? Always
would
had
be
a
my
good program. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see how that shakes out as the season goes along. Next is the Big 12. Okay, Big 12. This is the best thing I could find. Again, Big 12 and Big 10 didn't have that FPI percentage on their on their respective Twitter accounts. So we'll just kind of move forward in a different way with those two. But this came from Heartland College Sports. It says, here's our way too early Big 12 power rankings for the 2024. This was back in January. So they're showing Oklahoma State number 1, Arizona number 2. It's so hard to figure these out, Tim. What is this team here? Arizona number 2, Utah number 3, Kansas State number 4, UCF number 5, AFAM in the house at number 6 with Kansas, then West Virginia, Iowa State, Texas Tech, and we'll just end it there. Colorado down to 12. So really, as much buzz as around Deion Sanders and in Colorado, no one still sees them as a chance to potentially compete for the Big 12 championship. But Oklahoma State, Arizona, and Utah at the top of the list here for the Big 12 rankings, according to Heartland College Sports. Interesting to see some of those teams, man, because those are some fun programs to watch when you look at some of the people that came out of these schools. I mean, think about, if I remember correctly, Barry Sanders came out of Oklahoma State, right?
Yep.
Arizona, obviously, Jordan Morgan, our first-round pick, came from Arizona. Utah's turned out some prospects. Kansas State, am I thinking right? Didn't Jordy Nelson go to Kansas State? Am I thinking right there, Tim?
Believe so. I know he's from Kansas.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where he attended. So, we'll see how all that shakes out. Now, for the Big 10, again, we don't have that FPI screen grab. So what I'm going to do is share an article here where they broke down, I think it was Ducks Wire. So this was an Oregon Ducks website, kind of broke down the Big 10. And I'm going to list the majority of them off real quick, and we'll talk about you all and your Wisconsin Badgers because they are on this list, okay? Number 18, the Purdue Boilermakers. Number 17, Minnesota Golden Gophers. Number 16, the Indiana Hoosiers. Number 15, the Illinois Fighting Illini.
Boo.
Yeah, that's Jake Shavink's alma mater. So shout out to Jake Shavink there. Number 14, Northwestern Wildcats. Obviously, I think Mark Murphy was the AD there, maybe, if I remember correctly, before he.
Yeah. We don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now, though.
No, we do not. Number 13, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Number 12, the Maryland Terrapins. That helmet right there, by the way, is pretty nasty. I ain't gonna lie, man. I kind of dig that. That looks almost like a old motocross racing helmet.
Yep.
Kind of digging that. UCLA Bruins are number 11. Michigan State Spartans at number 10. Number 9 is the Nebraska Cornhuskers. There's some good programs in this in this conference here. Number 8, the Washington Huskies. So the number 2 team in the country last year drops to number 8 in the Big 10. And, of course, it's because Kalen DeBoer left Washington, in my opinion, and went to Alabama. So keep that in mind. Number 7, Iowa Hawkeyes. Number 6, your Wisconsin Badgers.
There's Lucky. There you are.
There he is. So it says 2024 preseason ranking, they are not ranked. The previous Big 10 preseason ranking, they were number 7. This year, they were number 6. So things trending up slightly for the Badgers. Here's the analysis. It says, I feel like I'm higher on Wisconsin than most. I think there's a real chance they contend for one of the top spots in the conference if the Tyler Van Dyke acquisition pans out and Luke Fickell continues to be an elite head coach. The Badgers could be a dangerous team this year. You guys keep in mind, they jumped from like 42 or 44 in recruiting in 2024 or in 2023 to 22nd in the country in 2024. So help is on the way. There's no doubt about that. I think Wisconsin Badgers program starting to trend up here a little bit with Luke Fickell. What do you think, Tim?
It sure seems that way. I mean, we talked about that, I believe last week we talked about that. There's some good prospects locally here in Wisconsin that are, possibly going to be playing some football in Madison. So it looks like they stepped up their recruiting, or at least, maybe invested more resources into it. So we'll see.
Yeah. definitely. And going back to the Big 12 there a second, Coach Lynn says BYU and TCU had some ball players come out, solid programs. Yeah, TCU's always been a fun one to watch for me too. And BYU, man, I can't get over that stadium. That stadium is gorgeous. We need to lay that as the backdrop next for sure. So, yeah, so the Wisconsin Badgers, like I said, preseason ranking number 6, according to Ducks Wire, which is a USA Today kind of publication there. They're going to be competing a little bit in the Big Ten. We'll see how it goes. This is just wild to me. Also in the Big Ten, the USC Trojans at number 5.
Oh, weird.
It is. So Michigan, your reigning national champions, much like the Washington Huskies, they have been absolutely rated of their coaching staff. So Jim Harbaugh is now the head coach of the LA Chargers. So the Michigan Wolverines have a new head coach. Let's see what the write-up says on the number 4 projected team in the Big Ten. They said, can Michigan contend once again after losing so much of their championship roster and their championship coach this offseason? They've the talent to do so, but we will see if Sharon Moore, so obviously that's the new head coach, can put things together and get them back to a similar level once again in 2024. So we'll see how that coaching staff adjusts without Harbaugh. Number 3, the Penn State Nittany Lions. Their previous ranking was number 4. Their preseason ranking nationally is number 8, and they're sitting number 3 in the Big Ten currently right now. Number 2, the Oregon Ducks, another weird one, Tim. We got Oregon in the Big Ten.
In the Big Ten, yeah.
It's crazy. Wild. Yeah, so their preseason ranking is number 3. And then, of course, number 1 is the Ohio State Buckeyes. You know, Paul Feinbaum, if you guys don't watch that show, you talk about entertaining, my God. If you go to SEC Network, you guys may or may not have it, you can probably pull all kinds of clips up online too, but it's a SEC-centric call-in show that lasts for 4 hours on SEC Network from 3 to 7 Eastern every evening. And, he's a big SEC guy. He covered Alabama forever. He grew up in Tennessee. He knows the SEC inside and out. If I understood correctly, his pick is the Ohio State Buckeyes. Like if he had to pick one team to win the national championship, it would be Ohio State. Their roster is loaded. I know this. If somehow, some way, they don't make it to the national championship, it might be time for people to start talking about Ryan Day a touch because he has all the talent in the world. And the fact that, he hasn't been able to beat Michigan, much less even think about, making it to the national championship here lately. And again, what they were in the national championship it might've been last year, the year before last they were in it. It just seems like, I don't know, man, we'll see what happens here as far as, what they do moving forward. I've just heard a lot of grumblings around Ryan Day here lately, and I'm going, I feel like he's had a lot of success, but at the same time, it seems like every single year, everyone thinks he's got the best roster. But, yeah, so his preseason ranking is number 2 now. It says, like I just said, Ohio State could easily be number 1 or number 2 on this list, depending on how you see it in the Ducks. But given the level of talent on the roster, there you go, the elite coaching and the expected high value of quarterback play, there's no reason to believe the Buckeyes will not be back in the national championship conversation. So I'm not saying Ryan Day.
That's the problem, though, right, Clayton? They're always in the conversation, but are they going to make it, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of when their last national title was because they won it a few years ago. I know that. And again, I'm just diving back into college football, but let's see here. I'm going to type this in real quick. If you guys will just bear with me for a second, I want to see Ohio State football national championships. Let's see when their last one was because it was pretty recent, I'm pretty sure. National finalists. Let's see here. How many national championships have they won? Why can't we not just have a quick answer here?
2014?
That's what I'm looking at here. So it says claimed national titles. Yeah. 1942, 50. They've got 8. 1942, 1954, 1957, 1961, 1968, 1970, 2002, and 2014. So, yeah, and this is national finalists. I'm assuming that means they made it to the national championship but didn't win it, correct? Would be 2002, 2006, 2007, 2014. So they've made it to the national championship, I'm assuming, looking at this in 2020. But their last title was 2014. Tim, that was a decade ago, bub.
Think you know the Brooks Ghost? Think again. Introducing the all-new, better-than-ever Ghost 16. Now with nitrogen-infused cushioning for lightweight, supreme softness that feels good every step, every street, every single day. So go ahead, take your daily joyride in the all-new nitrogen-infused Ghost 16. It'll turn your everyday miles into everyday endorphins. Let's run there. Head to brooksrunning.com to learn more.
Have you ever experienced turbulence on a flight and wondered why?
And you can see all the terrain around you. You've got no issue with visibility or anything?
No, everything's PG.
Maybe you've sat on the tarmac for hours wondering why your plane isn't moving.
Well, we're outside here. They're saying the ramp is closed. They won't let us park because of Air Force One.
Listen in on the conversations between pilots and air traffic controllers on the Air Traffic Out of Control podcast.
512 Whiskey declaring an emergency. There's smoke in the cabin. I need to make a landing right now on 31 left.
We have the most interesting, wild, and funny ATC recordings you will ever hear. Check out Air Traffic Out of Control wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Yeah, there was still a college football game on the old Xbox and PlayStations back in 20. So they won it the last time that they had a game. That's pretty interesting. We were just talking about that.
Right.
But I mean, look at 41 conference titles, right? 39 Big Ten conference titles. That's crazy. You know, they've been a powerhouse for a while, but you know, I think you're right. We'll see how the season pans out. We certainly know who the usual suspects are going to be when it comes to competing for that championship. So
yeah,
let's see if they can do it.
Got sideline report in the house says morning Pack fam, 89 days until NFL, 90 days until the Packers. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. And then before he bounced out, said go Oregon Ducks. So there you go. We got an Oregon fan in the house, man. It is cool to see how many people root for so many different teams, you know, like I would expect more Badger fans to be commenting, but you got guys that are fans of teams from all over the country. And that's a beautiful thing about college football. You know, it's just one of those things that it's so popular and it's so widespread. And Tim, you're not the only one with multiple teams. You guys know I've got 3 favorite teams. There's other teams I pull for too. You know, whether I love the stadium, I love their style of football, their coaching staff, what have you. It's just there's so many things to enjoy about college football, no doubt. The last thing I want to hit here before we should have a chance to dive into a little bit of recruiting talk too. But this is the Joe Klatt Show, which is basically a college football podcast. They tweeted this out, and he's on Fox's staff. Okay, so he's with Fox College Football. I said a lot on the line with these games this season. So this is Joe Klatt's top 10 games to shape the 24-25 season. So in week 1, you've got LSU and USC facing off on September 1st. That should be a dandy. In week 2, you've got Texas at Michigan. That'll be September 7th. Also in week 2, September 7th, Colorado at Nebraska. So Deion going into Nebraska there. Then you fast forward to week 5. Tim, this is going to be a damn slobber knocker right here, bro. Georgia at Alabama, September 28th. Kalen DeBoer, that's going to be his first real shot to go, hey, look, we're not taking a step back because Nick Saban's gone. But, man, Kirby Smart has that Georgia program humming, bro. Georgia at Bama, September 28th. That's going to be a Saturday night game. Crack open a daddy soda, put the brats on the grill, and have that thing on in the background. That's going to be
already feel the fire and intensity coming off of that game already.
No doubt about it. And Texas, Michigan should probably have a little bit of that too, with Texas being in the SEC now, you know. Mm-hmm. But and I love watching games at Michigan on TV, man. It's just such an awesome stadium. But week 6, we were talking about the ACC just a second ago, right? With the ACC favorites, we said FSU 26%, Clemson 19%. Joe Klatt has this game in week 6 marked Clemson at Florida State, October 5th. They're going to have Chief Osceola out there with the Spirit midfield. That place is going to be rocking too, man. What an ACC matchup there between Clemson and Florida State.
Yeah, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. Then week 7, Oregon now obviously a new member of the Big Ten. We just talked about it. I think, Ohio State was number 1 projected. Oregon was number 2, right, with the projections of the Big Ten. Well, week 7, October 12th, Ohio State travels to Eugene, Oregon to play the Oregon Ducks. That'll be a fun matchup. That's going to have maybe not quite the intensity of Georgia at Bama, but that is the Big Ten's version of Georgia, no doubt.
I would anticipate that to be a extremely high-scoring affair as well.
If we get time this year, we may do watch parties where we watch these college games live, that would be a lot of fun because we don't have that emotional tie. Tim, we can actually enjoy it for what it is.
Right.
It might be fun, or maybe do a second half watch party because the games are kind of long. Just do a live college football podcast where we're watching and reacting, hanging out with the chat. That'd be a lot of fun. So, but again, week 7, Ohio State at Oregon. That's going to be a blast. So, week 8, October 19th, Georgia at Texas. That'll be a good one. Listen, on the Paul Feinbaum show, these Texas fans are talking smack to these SEC fans. I don't think it's smart, but who knows, man? Maybe Texas comes in and just absolutely smacks the SEC around. That would be wild. But Georgia going down to Texas, that's going to be – you're going to have Matthew McConaughey in the house there on that game, no doubt about it. That's going to be a wild affair, Georgia Bulldogs at Texas. It's cool to see Georgia on 2 different games here. You got Bama too. It looks like Ohio State leads the way with 3 games represented, but Georgia at Texas will be a lot of fun. Week 9, Missouri at Alabama. So that's going to be Missouri's shot to kind of solidify their spot in the upper echelon of the SEC because, I mean, Missouri is one of those teams that if they don't do it this year, they're loaded with talent. If they don't do it this year, if they don't, put a solid run together, then they're just cursed because it seems like it's so many times here in the recent past, Tim, that Missouri has put together a pretty good roster. If I remember correctly, they had your boy Rakestraw, right?
Yeah, and a lot of guys came out of Missouri in this draft class too. So it says a lot about their recruitment and their roster building there.
Yeah, and they'll have the perfect opportunity in week 9 to go into Tuscaloosa and get a big win against Bama.
That would be absolutely crazy if they walked in there and came away with a win. That would be huge.
It really would.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're seeing the storylines already kind of shape up. Like Kalen DeBoer is going to have a shot that say, hey, look, I can coach just as good as Nick Saban with this awesome program in Alabama. You'll get tested with Georgia in week 5 and then Missouri in week 9. If he flops, if he beats Georgia in week 5 and then they get beat by Missouri in week 9, the pressure's already on Kalen DeBoer. I'm just telling you right now, I know how those Bama fans are. They will not tolerate it. So that's going to be wild. Week 10, Ohio State at Penn State. So they're going to go into Penn State, Ohio State is, and try to get a big win there. Obviously, we just talked about Penn State. They are the number 3 team, according to Ducks Wire, USA Today, as far as Big Ten projections. So you're seeing Ohio State's running through the gauntlet here, man. They obviously they play Oregon, who is ranked number 2 in the Big Ten, and then they're going to have to play Penn State, who's ranked number 3 in the Big Ten. And then, oh, by the way, in week 14, November 30th, at home against Michigan, the reigning defending national champions. So really cool games to kind of keep an eye on there, Tim. Notice my Kentucky Wildcats isn't on that list, man. What's up with that? I'll tell you, they no chance that Kentucky is gonna make any of these games.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that Michigan at Ohio State's going to be fun to watch too. I think for sure, always.
Another one that's not on this list is Notre Dame, right? And some people are like, is Notre Dame going to be a top 12 team? I think they have a legit shot to finish. Now, obviously, it's going to be one of those at-large picks because they're not technically in a conference. They're independent. So they got to kind of do it with the outside rankings. And again, with that format, 12 teams will be selected to the playoff field. The 4 highest-ranked conference champions will be seeded 1 through 4. And then and each will receive a first-round bye. The other 8 teams will be a part of that ranking that we're talking about with the new college football playoff ranking system they're going to be using. So they know Notre Dame's following too. So I don't think I'm out of pocket saying this, Tim, but Notre Dame is so popular. They're going to get some love. They're definitely not going to get shunned. If there's an argument for them, they've got such a following, they will make that list, I imagine.
It's like you said, though, the margin of error is so small in the college game. I mean,
it is, man.
You lose one game and it's already like, oh boy, our season's potentially ruined. And 2, 3, or 4 losses, and you can go ahead and wrap that up and forget about being in the top 12. So this will be really interesting to watch.
Yeah, and another thing too is like you didn't see Wisconsin on none of those games either. Some people that may tick you off. That's good. Like play the underdogs. I don't have Wisconsin's schedule handy here, right? Close by. But, man, it's going to be fun to root for them as underdogs this year. Again, the recruiting class got better last year. They're trending in the right direction. Be cool to see them upset a few people and try to – who knows, man? Maybe they can shock the world and get in the top 25 there and start creeping up on the top 20 and make a case for that top 12. You never know, man. Luke Fickell, there's a lot of people that like Luke Fickell, and they think he can definitely turn that around. You can see I'm going to be battling the ads with this, but I wanted to hit on some of the recruiting here. So we'll end it with just quick recruiting updates. This is for the 2025 class. So this is not obviously the freshmen that are already enrolled from the 2024 class. This is going to be next year's freshmen. Okay. And I wish I could do something about the ads, but I can't. I apologize. I just want to go through the top so many at each position real quick. Really the key positions. Quarterback. Obviously, the top quarterback in the class is Bryce Underwood. He is committed to LSU. Keep in mind, they're not enrolled yet, so this could change, although it is a verbal commitment. It's usually pretty solid. Number 2 quarterback in the country, Julian Lewis, out of Carrollton, Georgia, has signed with USC, or not signed, but committed to USC. Tavion St. Clair, out of Bellefontaine, Ohio, has verbally committed to Ohio State. Then you got George McIntyre out of Nashville, Tennessee, number 4 quarterback in the country, has committed to the University of Tennessee, verbally committed. And then you got Matt Zollers, the number 5 quarterback prospect. He's out of Royersford, Pennsylvania. He has signed, look at it, Tim, with Missouri. Verbally committed to Missouri. I'm going to keep saying that, God. But there you go, man. That's what we're talking about with the recruiting class. They got a top 5 quarterback in next year's draft class, or next year's class.
Yeah, Missouri, man. Like you said, they're going to be fun to watch, I think, the next few years, really.
Definitely. Moving down the list here of quarterbacks, number 6, you've got Hussein Longstreet from Corona, California. He signed with Texas A&M as far as the verbal commitment goes. And then Deuce Knight, this one popped up the other day, and it really surprised me as a Notre Dame fan. I know everybody was fired up over it. Deuce Knight is a quarterback, number 7 quarterback in the country for the 2025 class, out of Lucedale, I think it's Mississippi, and out of George County. He's 6'4", 208. He's verbally committed to Notre Dame.
Number 1 name in the draft class too.
Deuce Knight.
I love that.
Definitely. And then, of course, Kalen DeBoer, with the help of Nick Saban, they got the number 8 quarterback in the country for the 2025 class in Keelan Russell out of Duncanville, Texas. So they went right into Texas to try to snatch one away from the Longhorns. That's kind of cool. Now, check this out, Tim. I'll come back to it. I apologize. Number 9, Achilles Smith Jr. So I'm thinking that's the Achilles Smith that came out with Tim Couch. That's his son, maybe. I'm not 100% sure, but we need to look into that. Maybe Sideline Report knows that because he's a big Oregon fan. But he's out of Lincoln High School in San Diego, California. He signed with Oregon as a 4-star, the number 9 quarterback in the country. And then this is really cool. The number 10 quarterback in the country for the 2025 class out of Saraland, Alabama, K.J. Lacey, is committed to Texas. So look at this, Tim. You've got Alabama getting a Texas quarterback to commit to them, and then Texas getting an Alabama quarterback to commit with them.
There's got to be some drama in their families right now. You already know they're catching hell from some of their family and friends.
And I love how, we talk about pipeline areas, pipeline states when it comes to recruiting. And Alabama's like, Alabama's like, damn it, Texas stole one from us, and Texas like, all right, let's go get one from, vice versa. They're literally going into each other's states and trying to get their best prospects, and in the process, they're losing the best in their state. It's just awesome, man. Yeah. I love recruiting when it comes to college football. So that's the quarterback class, the top 10 for 2025. We'll just end it there. I was going to look at some of the other positions here, but let's just I want to point one thing out. You got all these verbal commitments, right? And as you scroll down, notice how all these guys are committed until you get to number 15, where you've got Antoine Hill from Houston County, Warner Robins, Georgia, is 77% leaning towards Memphis, and then 10% Florida. But you see how all these are pretty much committed, Tim? Like all these quarterbacks. Now watch this. What's the big talking point as far as contracts in the NFL outside of the quarterback position? It's wide receiver, right? Everybody's talking about how everybody's overpaying for a wide receiver and the market is just hot for a wide receiver. Look at all those commits, right? And now if we hop over to wide receiver, check this out. Nobody committed hardly. That's pretty cool, man. Like,
So
you got
what is the percentages? Is that like they're just guessing? Like, oh, we think he might go to Texas, he might go to LSU.
What it is they do a really good job of keeping tabs on where these kids have visited to, who's got scholarship offers, all that. And they've actually on the on3.com website, they got a projector that kind of they use all the information, throw it in with AI, and it kind of projects, okay, here's where they're probably going to sign and at what percentage that is. I don't think these players, these kids are going to the publication on 3 and going, I'm 89% committed. Right. So they just got a system that they use, and it doesn't mean it's 100% accurate. But when you get the 89 to 4%, probably going to be tough for LSU to flip DeCorian Moore, the top wide receiver in the country. But I just wanted to point out that all of these wide receivers, I mean, you got the top 4 are still not verbally committed yet, right? You get the number 5. Obviously, you got Dallas Wilson, a 5-star wide receiver out of Tampa, Florida. He's committed to Oregon. And then once again, here you are again, all these guys that are undecided. Kind of cool to see how the wide receiver market really compares to the NFL market too, because like that's how it is in the NFL. How many times have we seen wide receivers jump around? Stephon Diggs, right? One of those players. Who's the other guy that played? His name is evading me right now. He spent time in Arizona and has hopped around. D-Hop, right?
Oh yeah, DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah.
He's another one that's a great wide receiver. Just keeps bouncing around from team to team. And you look at some of these, it's like, man, that's pretty cool to see them not committed yet.
You know what, though? It's true. I wonder how many of them are going to actually, finish their college career with the team they commit to anyway, with the transfer portal and everything.
Oh, yeah. Highly unlikely, I would imagine, because there's a lot of shuffling that goes on with the NIL deals. Notre Dame coming in here at number 7 with Derek Meadows. He's leaning 84% toward Notre Dame, according to the system here, 5% Bama. He's out of Las Vegas, Nevada, 6'5", 185 wide receiver. And then, of course, you got – I'm trying to see. I think this is the first time Wisconsin's popped up on the list here. Yeah. Talon Taylor out of Geneva, Illinois, 93% Georgia, 2% Wisconsin. That's where you insert the Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance. But it's cool to see him in the same kind of, the same conversation there with someone like Georgia, being, Wisconsin, obviously. Trying to see if there was any more from Wisconsin. There was not. Let me hop back to quarterback, and then we'll get out of here. I just want to see if Wisconsin pops up anywhere on these quarterbacks as far as where they're ranking in the 2025 class. Most of the times teams will go after quarterbacks every year. There's Stone Saunders out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Looks like he's committed to Kentucky. He's just a 3-star. There's another 3-star. Kentucky's just scattershot in the 3-star. We got to get some help in here, boys. Let's just get a bunch of these 3-stars. I'm not seeing Wisconsin in the quarterback market, though. So maybe they feel pretty well set. And you know what? It could be that they're – here we go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Number 63 from Rockwall, Texas, Landon Locke.
Another 3-star. Yeah.
There you go. So that's where Wisconsin kind of – and some of these teams too, like Notre Dame, they'll take a year or two and they'll use a transfer portal, right? And try to beef it up there, get immediate help right off the bat. And then they'll bounce back and start recruiting. That's why the Deuce Knight thing was like, oh, hold up a minute with Notre Dame, because the last couple of years they've used the transfer portal. Obviously, they got Sam Hartman this year. They got Riley Leonard, but you can see they're actually kind of building it out balanced now. Notre Dame going with Deuce Knight there in the number 7 spot if he stays verbally committed. Again, these are pretty hard commits. It doesn't mean they can't flip, but for the most part, once you get to that stage, it's pretty much a lock. Now, like you said, Tim, the next year, who knows where they're going to be. So with the transfer portal, but there you go. Just wanted to kind of wrap it up again with a little bit of recruiting talk. I think it's always important to hit on that too, because that is really the lifeblood of college football talk for sure. And everybody's got hope. When you can look out and say, okay, what's our 2027 class look like? You've always got a little bit of hope for sure. So anything you want to add, Tim, before we wrap this thing up, man?
No, man, just happy to be here. Happy to learn. It's definitely got me paying a little more attention to the college game. And I guess, we picked a good time to do this too, with everything kind of, really changing now. The whole landscape of college football is different. And I don't have to feel quite as much of like a noob, because a lot of people are kind of adjusting to these new conference alignments. And, so I think this is just awesome. And I'm looking forward to watching some college ball this year.
Yeah, man. It's going to be a
blast for everything, man.
Definitely. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us this morning. We'll be back in the afternoon. If everything goes as planned, we're going to go live for PTA at 2 p.m. Central Time, and then we'll go live again for PTA at 7 p.m. Central Time. So we're going to have a lot of football talk. And if, again, everything goes as planned tomorrow, we'll do another college football podcast and a couple more PTAs. So just getting some extra content in. The work week went good. Everything got done other than me getting out here and having to weed eat the creek line and take care of the property at my house. Mine's always the last one to get mowed. You don't believe me? Ask Mandy. She reminds me every single week, when you going to get theirs? So that's what's on tap today. But Tim, appreciate you hanging out, man. This is a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right. We'll see you guys
this afternoon, right?
Yeah. We'll see you guys later this afternoon. Just look for the notification. We'll create the stream soon. I'm thinking 2 p.m. Central Time. That may shift a little bit, but I think that's where we're going to settle in. So we'll see you guys then. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go, Pack, go. And it's college football season. Almost here.